Bear with me. So we all know the cycles of the iPhone. This year we get a new design. Next year we get a spec bump or a new feature. So we got iPhone 5, ooh, sharp. iPhone 5S, faster processor, Touch ID. iPhone 6, ooh, curvy. iPhone 6S, faster processor, Force Touch. RIP Force Touch. You get it, and that's the way it's been up until today. But that wasn't the case with the iPhone 4. So let's just say the iPhone 5 is a BMW M series, and then the 5S is a BMW M3. It's the same design, but it's faster, better engine, better brakes. And so if we're using cars as an analogy, then the iPhone 3GS is like a baseline stock Nissan Skyline. And if that's the case, then the iPhone 4 is a Nissan Skyline GT-R R34 V-Spec 2.60 twin turbo straight 6 all-wheel drive. Basically, it's a whole other beast.
In 2007, the iPhone reinvented the phone. For 2010, the iPhone 4 is the biggest leap forward since the original iPhone.
And that's basically true. It looked futuristic. The screen was incredible, the camera was brilliant for the time. The front-facing camera, the selfie camera was, but the 3GS didn't even have one. Plus it stood up vertical because it was squared off, and if someone called you to vibrate around in circles. So why would Apple do this? Why would Apple shoot themselves in the foot like this? Who's going to buy an iPhone 4S when the iPhone 4 is basically perfect? And here's why I think it is. They tested the water with the iPhone 3G, the iPhone 3GS, and realized it was a market they were going to stay in, make a lot of money, and they wanted to cement themselves as the smartphone manufacturer. I mean, a lot of people were already calling all smartphones iPhones. And so at the time, I had a Nokia N94 or something like that, really good Carl Zeiss camera on it, took great pictures, and I had a Windows laptop as well. I had no Apple products. I had turned my nose about Apple's walled garden, the restrictive Apple ecosystem. And then the reviews came out for the iPhone 4 and I was in the market for a new phone. And none of the other phones compared to this. Every other phone seemed to have a flaw, but this just seemed to have it all. So that brings us back to the iMac, the new iMac, the M1 iMac. This thing is everywhere. Every tech YouTuber is reviewing it, testing it, comparing it, benchmarking it. People are designing whole rooms around it with the new aesthetic. And so what's the big deal with it? Well, it actually is a pretty big deal. Basically, if you were buying a computer before now, you were getting a computer with either an Intel chip or an AMD chip. Is that their jingle? That's a really bad jingle. And so Apple have been making their own chips for years now with the iPhone and the iPad, and they get market-leading performance in the mobile market. And so because Apple love money, they said, why not just make our own chip? Then we don't have to pay Intel or AMD. Plus, we can optimize it for our software, and then all of our software will run much better and smoother and more energy efficient. So they released the M1 chip last year, Apple's first computer chip. Released it in the MacBook Air, got good reviews, people were very happy with it. Later on, they released it in the MacBook Pro and the Mac Mini. Still good reviews. Apps that weren't optimized for it ran okay, but Apple's own apps like Final Cut runs really well on this. So now they've tested the waters, they got the M1 brand out there. They've built up a bit of confidence, and now it's time to make a major move. Really cement the M1 Max as a legitimate option for content creators or home users. So they put the M1 chip in an iPhone 4. I'm just kidding. They released the M1 iMac, a brand new design 24-inch all-in-one desktop computer with a 4.5K screen, a new wide-angle 1080p webcam that follows you around the room, a studio-quality microphones, a 6-speaker array for listening to Olivia Rodriguez, and all these fancy new colours with colour-coordinated accessories and Touch ID built into the keyboard, and everything's just better, and all of this for $1,500. The closest Intel iMac is $2,000. You couldn't buy a monitor of this quality for $1,500. You'll struggle to get a desktop PC for $1,500 that can render videos as well as this. So why did Apple do this? Why didn't they just release the new design iMac with the M1 chip, get good reviews, next year put in a few more features, new colours, new webcam, or release it as is for the same price as the comparable Intel iMac and make an extra $500 per unit? And don't forget, Apple love money. You see where this is going. It's iPhone 4 stuff again. They're saying that M1 Macs aren't a gamble anymore. The water safe, jump in. If you need a home computer and you'll do a bit of video editing or photo editing, or even if you don't, you'll be very happy with this, unless you need Windows. Like back in 2010, unless you needed the openness of Android, you just bought an iPhone 4. So this video is sponsored by no one.